So today we're talking about TMDL and Power BI. So what it is, what it actually does, and how it can be annoying, and also how you can use it within VS Code or even Git. So today I'm not doing a deep coding tutorial. This is just going to be a talk through. But first, let's talk about what TMDL is. And I know we talked about it before, but let's dive a little bit deeper, and then we're going to go into the pros and cons as well. So TMDL in simple terms is going to be a Power BI project that you save that is no longer trapped in a PBIX file, right? So before, all your tables, all your measures, everything was just stored in that one file. So now you can actually describe your tables, measures, relationship, and roles because they're all text files. And you can actually load those into VS Code and then use them to pull and branch off in Git as well. So what you're looking at right now is a table, and this table alone can be extrapolated and then pulled into VS Code, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. But first, let's talk about a few overarching pros within TMDL as well. So the first thing is you can actually edit the model as code. So no longer are you now separating all the measures independently within the graphical user interface. You can actually go in and look at all the tables, look at all the measures even, and then update everything at one time. The second thing is to be using Git for collaboration. So now teams can branch, review, pull request, and you can actually use Power BI as a software development tool rather than just strictly a front-end tool. You can also script TMDL with Python or R as well. So if you want to change a bunch of measures at one time and not have to do each one independently, you can do that with Python if you want and just write a quick script and then update everything at one time. The fourth thing is that it's a little bit more readable, so you can actually see everything in a vertical format. So no longer do you have to go and look in Power Query and see everything individually. Look at all the little icons, scroll all the way over, and try to find your place. Now you can just see everything in one spot. And you can also have all your measures in one place as well. So you can go in and see everything and see where all the connections are and just update things in one landing page versus going to each individual measure. All right, so let's talk about cons. And these, to me, are really big. So the first is that these tiny changes can actually break a lot. So for instance, if you're going into TMDL, you're changing a measure name as dependent on other measures as well, it's going to break. So you're going to see a bunch of different red triangles. And before I proceed any further, I'm actually going to show you what that looks like. So say for instance, I just want to drag my measure folder in here and I have a bunch of different measures here. So I have losses 30 days. So let's just say I want to simply change this one to losses less than 30 days. I preview that, and this is my before, this is my after. I apply it, and now I have a green check mark. But now you can see my net change measure that I have here has a red triangle along with all these other ones. That's a problem. So it's not easy to just simply go in here and update everything like you can on the front end. Because on the front end, if I just simply, you can see it broke here too. But if I just simply went into a measure here and I change something here, it's easy, right? Because then it updates everywhere else as well. If I'm changing the naming convention up top. The downside in TMDL, it does not do that. And that's a huge negative, I would say. The second thing is going to be you lose that instant visual feedback, right? So here, I can't actually see anything that I'm doing in tables, right? So if I go back to script 1, I just look at my table that I have for current personnel. I can see the data types and all that stuff. I can see all the columns, I can see a table, everything that I want, right? But it does not show me the actual data within it. So Power Query does that for me to where I can actually see it. Here, I can't do that. I don't have that granularity. I don't have that fidelity. So I think that's a problem as well, because if you want to see changes real time and see how it impacts your data, you're not going to be able to do it here. You're going to see it at a macro level here. You're not going to see the actual underlying data attributes. The third thing is that it's more Microsoft syntax, right? This is not real coding language. This is like Microsoft made up stuff that they have. So if I go back to my measures, everything here that you have, like Microsoft has their own suite of stuff. It's very Microsoft centric only. They have a lot of different ways you can write low code, no code solutions, such as Power Apps as well. right? Power BI is a little bit different. It's not the exact same, but that's just something else to learn, right? That's another learning curve. That complicates the process more. You also have M code within Power Query. That's also something completely different than what's in the GUI on the front end here within Power BI. And it's not like picking up something in Python and just going, and Python being so agile and universal. You can even import it and use it in Power BI, or you can use it for almost any other application out there too. The next thing is indentation and structure. So if you're not familiar with indentation and coding structure, you may struggle with even just having a measure construct set up. Now, do you necessarily have to code things this exact way? Or even when you want to look at a date format too, right? So even if you have in-depth coding experience, you're not going to probably have much Microsoft-centric experience related to Power BI, right? It's just not common. You have to have an expertise level in Microsoft products or in Power BI so that you can write this stuff from scratch. And most people really don't. And that's okay, right? But just knowing this construct for something like a date table is unique too, because how do you actually come to learn this kind of stuff, right? And it takes time. So that is another downside, I think, as well, is because Microsoft has their own language, so it takes time to kind of learn this stuff. And the last one's going to be you can only use TMDL within desktop. It is not for Power BI service, which does suck, right? So using it only in desktop does provide some limitations to you, but that's kind of where we are right now. All right, so historically, you haven't been able to utilize the same application within Power BI desktop and then have multiple people iterating upon it, right? Updating it, doing things, changing it, pushing it back, and having it refresh with all the adopted changes. Just hasn't been able to be done in that manner, right? Now with TMDL, with Power BI Project, you can do that, and I'll show you how you can do that within VS Code. All right, so the first thing you want to do is click on File. We're going to do Save As. We're going to click on Browse. And then once we get here, this is the important part. What we want to do is save it as a PBIP file. This is a Power BI project file. This is where it takes all your tables, all your measures, splits them out into separate files. So you can go in and update everything independently. You can actually read the file, update it, do whatever modifications, and then save it and push it back and refresh it into Power BI as well. So huge benefit, right? Many people don't use this stuff, but if you're in a team, you're collaborating and you want to have multiple people in on it, this is one way to do it rather than just locking it to one developer. So once you click on this and you click Save, I already have one done. So I'm just going to open that up. And I'm not going to actually open up the project itself. So instead what I do is I go in and load the entire model within VS Code and open it that way so that I can pipe into the project separately, right? Usually what you see here is your folder for your semantic model, and you go to definitions, then you go to tables, and then you have all your tables. So you can just open up any one you want, right? We can open up parent personnel as well, and we can see everything that we saw within TMDL is now within VS Code. So I can update all this stuff and then push it back if I want to as well. So this allows for multi-editor collaboration. It allows you to maybe just focus on one table, and you want to have other developers focus on other tables, save it, and then you push it into Power BI and you just refresh the data really, and you're good to go. You'll see all your changes, right? You're going to change the column name, you're going to change whatever you want. It's fine, right? You can do that here. This allows you a space within VS Code to do just that. Now, I'm not going to dive into actually doing it here. I can make a later video. You guys let me know down below if you guys actually want to see that, and I can always make it for you. But this is a huge benefit that Power BI does offer. All right, so that's TMDL in Power BI. So there's more control, better collaboration, and you have greater efficiency in Power BI. And then the cons are just going to be what we talked about before, which is not being able to see everything as you're kind of modifying things. So it's slower, a little bit more fragile, but at the end of the day, it does allow you to see a lot within one space now. All right, with that said, let me know your thoughts down below. Hit the like button, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching, y'all.